Welcome back to Bust Picks, episode 5.
Yes.
My name is Dio Reynoso. I'm here with my co-host.
Don Behan, how we doing?
And I said it last week. It's happening again. I knew we were going to call this Bust Picks, but I didn't think that every pick that I was going to make was just going to eat me up inside. Was just going to absolutely annihilate everything I stood for.
On the bright side, it hasn't been just you. When you have two major favorites get knocked off in the same week in the NFL,
That was crazy.
That just doesn't happen normally.
It never. I mean, it's the NFL. Anything can happen. That's the whole point. But like,
Best parody in major sports.
yeah. Don, you got a fact for me?
I do. So there used to be a rule. The NFL actually made a rule back in the day that limited an offense.
What do you mean? Like they're only allowed to run so many plays?
So what the rule was in 1910. So we're going back
This
old
is
school.
original NFL shit.
Original NFL
Oh, my
rules.
bad.
Every incomplete pass that a team would throw would be a 15-yard penalty on the offense.
I love that because that affected football for decades to come.
It did. That is why that is the old ground and pound in the beginning of the pass was so.
Wing T. We're not throwing the ball. We're throwing the ball 5 times a game.
It was done by the league. The league forced that change.
If you threw for 200 yards, you were a witch. They'd burn you alive. Like it was a whole thing.
But think about that in context of modern NFL. Aaron Rodgers leads the league in completion rate with 70%.
Oh
That
my
means
gosh.
30% of his plays in the modern day would have been penalties.
I didn't know that. Congrats, Don. You've outdone yourself again.
Let's go.
I've got a great question. Question of the day. Is LA a bad sports town? I don't think it is. I mean, we've grown up in Los Angeles,
Yes.
but the big controversy is the Chargers are putting in fake fans in their stadium. We stand on opposite sides of that. I think
We
that
do.
she was a plant. I don't think her son played for a Vikings team in Los Angeles County. You want to give her the benefit of the doubt?
I'm saying, so with the conspiracy theory, if you guys don't know off the top of your heads, or this is 2 news cycles old, during the Chargers game, they kept showing a girl freaking out over major Charger plays.
And I think that's totally normal. All the expression she was making is everything I was making during a Liberty game earlier today.
Yeah.
And I don't even like Liberty.
So that wasn't the crazy part. It was afterwards, fans were like, it's the Chargers. No one enjoys the team that much, which I think
No,
is kind of
I mean-
disrespectful. But
No one enjoys the Chargers that much. We grew up in Southern California. No one likes the Chargers that much. But to say LA is a bad sports town is just ridiculous.
I think it is. I think it's a ridiculous statement because I think that the fans is what gives it the bad rap. Like LA sports in general are some of the most like high level sports teams in the country.
Correct.
Typically, it's a big market. We bring in free agents. We have
Since
a lot
the
of
year
money.
2000,
It's been established.
13 championships. That's just a fact.
But the fans, I think, we're gluttonous in
Yeah.
LA. We are gluttonous fans in a major way. Where if a team isn't consistently winning, and when I mean winning, I don't mean like a Dodger 100 games, 100 win
Don't
season.
bring that up.
I
It's so
mean
wrong.
deep playoff runs. During the regular season, we could care less, and that's the major issue. Is we've had an abundance of teams where, you know what, the Lakers aren't doing that hot, but we have the Dodgers doing great. Dodgers aren't doing that hot, but the Rams won a Super Bowl.
So does
and
that-
you're able to mentally flip around.
But New
too
York
quickly.
has the same thing, and you're still watching people go to Mets games and lose their mind all the way to the end of the season. You're watching people go to Ranger games and Islander games, and there's a real rivalry there. There's not a real rivalry there here. There isn't that same vibe here. But what I will say is this. People live and die for the Lakers. People
Yes.
live and die for the Dodgers. Another huge sports franchise that people don't even think about in LA, the LAFC fans
Massive.
are ridiculous here in
Big
Los
group.
Angeles. So,
But there's just not that do or die rivalry the same way that there is inner city rivalries or any inner area rivalries. Like
yeah.
the Lakers are rivals with the Celtics, but it's never felt like, oh, I'm going to walk out of the stadium and it's going to get on right now.
Yeah, we're not Philly.
We're not getting in like that, and that's just it's a different cultural difference.
Yeah.
That's the big
We're better
thing.
than Miami, though, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'll give us that one.
All right, let's move on to our very first segment of the day. It's going to be called the stock market. We got a couple stocks. We're going to find out, are you buying, are you selling, are you holding? What are we doing? I don't think I'm doing any holding. I think I'm just buying and selling.
I have a hold. I have
Okay.
one hold for this segment.
All right, we're going to start with the Commanders. Don, are you buying, selling, or holding?
This is my hold. This is my hold of the season. I know. It's just first one,
It's
first
fine.
hold.
It's fine. I like it.
Because I just can't get a read on this team.
Mhm.
Because you have
All the teams are 3-3, by the way.
Yes, it's all 3-3
Yeah.
teams in the NFL is what we're working with here. Teams that could go either direction.
Correct. That's why
In a
buy,
big
sell, or hold.
And
You get one hold.
Commanders, I feel, are going to be the whole team out of this segment. They have great offensive weapons. I would say arguably some of the best collection of players on offense in the league.
I think in terms of just pure offensive skill players, the Washington Commanders have a top 5 team that
Yeah,
can
top
assemble.
5 unit.
Yeah.
But I can't get a read on Howell. Because he has these games where he looks terrible, and then he has 3 touchdown games. And I don't know which Howell's going to show up each week. Same thing on their defense.
Yeah.
Is their front 7 arguably one of the best in the league.
On paper, yeah.
On paper, that is a scary defensive line on paper. Very just an abundance of talent. They don't show up every week, and their secondary is suspect. Is one of the most suspect in the league.
They're bad. I mean,
And-
they're high round pick Emmanuel Forbes. They benched him last week.
Yeah,
It's been bad.
it's been bad there. So I'm not sure how to read this team. Is they're able to go compete and take Philly to the brink, but then lose just boneheaded games like they have, where it's like you guys should be able to walk through these young teams with the talent you have, and you don't.
So you're gonna hold it.
I'm going to hold it.
Okay.
I think that we just need to see Howell develop more,
Yeah.
and that's going to, I think 3 weeks we'll have a good answer.
I'm selling. I think I see the writing on the wall with what Sam Howell is. He's just going to be a fine quarterback. That's fine. I think he's going to be a bottom tier quarterback that's going to win you some games and then lose you a lot of games. The thing that I'm afraid about the Washington Commanders, they're going to buy themselves in on this culture, and this is not the culture they want to build. They have a new ownership. They're trying to revamp this entire franchise. They're going to not probably be the Commanders next year.
No, they're not. They don't have the trademark for it.
Correct.
They don't
Yeah.
have the copyright. They never did it.
Someone else.
Dan
has it,
Snyder
yeah.
never trademarked the team when he bought it.
Shout out to Dan Snyder. I'm gonna miss that guy.
He was the ultimate villain.
Yeah, he was
Like
awesome.
he was just everyone in sports just hated that man. It's great.
Sports need villains
Yes, you need a villain.
for sure. Like I'm not watching sports just to watch highlights. I want to see lowlights.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
That's a
you
fact.
do. And I think Snyder's entire tenure was a low light, and it made you feel better about your team.
Oh yeah, dude.
And it gave Washington. It's like we lost and we had a rough year,
Like-
but it's his fault, and it gave you someone to point at.
There was a point where the Colts had Carson Wentz, and I was lying to myself thinking Carson Wentz could be a franchise guy. And then when we finally had to get rid of him, I was like, at least we're not the Commanders because they got him now. Like it was.
And then the Commanders could look at it. It's like, well, we have him, but you know what? It's not our decision. It's Snyder's.
Yeah.
Because you know that every GM under him was a puppet.
Shout out to Dan Snyder. I'm selling this organization. They are not good. This is a bad stock. I think they're going to win a couple games. I'm not saying that they're going to be awful, but there's going to be some games where they show it. I think at the end of the year, you're looking at the record and you're like, this team only won 7 games, and what are we doing?
I think
Why
if
are we
they
doing this
get to 500 or just odd number of games, so just clear 500 or within the
Around
one
there,
game,
yeah.
I think it's a successful season,
Mhm.
considering how young Howell is and he's still very much developing.
Yeah.
But anything 7 or under, you got to make some changes. I think it starts with the coaching staff. This team has.
I think Ron Rivera's time to go. I think they have the right offensive coordinator to make him a head coach.
Yes, I completely agree there.
Let's move on to the next team. I'm going to start this one off. It's the Raiders, and I'm selling the Raiders.
Completely selling here.
Okay, so we're both on the same page.
Yes.
I don't hate Raider fans. I know Raider fans think I don't like them. I don't like you guys. I'm lying. I don't like Raider fans. I like the Raider organization. They're fantastic. Like,
Really? You think Davis is fantastic?
I don't mean anything I'm saying. Can I be honest?
Let's
I
hear
want the Raiders to be good. I want the Raiders to be a tentpole organization in the league. I think they've made all the wrong steps to continue success.
it. Yes.
Jimmy Garoppolo was a step back. I think we've all figured that out. All the Raider fans that were lying to themselves thinking,
I don't know, because there are Raider fans I still see posting that, hey, Jimmy's not the best, but at least he's better than Carr.
that's because they'll drink Kool-Aid till the wheels fall off, Don. Until the spaceships come from Mars, they're going to keep sipping that Kool-Aid.
I am very worried about this team.
I'm so worried. I will say there are some weapons on this team, but Devontae
Yes.
Adams is on the wrong side of
He is not being used in the correct way, in my opinion.
We have like 6 targets.
Well, when the team comes out and says,
For 2
"Hey,
weeks.
even if he's open, we're just using him as a decoy," like it's Devontae Adams. Like I don't care how messed up his shoulder is, he can still go catch one-handed.
He's a
At least
top
throw
3
him a
receiver
target
in the
occasionally.
league. He needs to be getting fed the ball religiously instead of Jacoby Myers or Michael Mayer, who's now like the fantasy football #1 tight. Out of the week, I don't even want to get into that.
No, I'm worried. Like you had Josh Jacobs, 1,000-yard rusher last season, dominated. He looks bad.
He just looks bad. Yes, we've seen more flashes of him, but like, didn't he it's just been bad.
He was able to eat last season, and it's an issue this season.
Yeah.
You have Jimmy G, who's
Now, he
already
did miss
missed
training camp though.
He did his training camp. We have Jimmy G, who's already missed a game due to concussion.
Mm-hmm.
Not his fault. But now you have him with a back injury looking to miss this week as well. Brian Hoyer's already taken first-team reps.
But they knew this was going to be the Jimmy G experience.
And
That's my problem. At least Derek Carr, you can say all you want about Derek Carr, he was in.
He was
there.
there. He was there.
Unless you tore his Achilles off his body, he was in the game.
And at least you had a starting caliber quarterback, not a Brian Hoyer.
Or
Honestly-
a rookie that you had to lie to yourself about.
And honestly, I see the best the Raiders can do is 7-9 this season.
I think that's
Or,
absolute.
7-10.
Yeah, I think
Because
that's.
they have Bears, which is going to be an interesting game without a starting QB.
Yeah.
Then they play the Lions,
Uh huh. Loss.
Giants, which is going to be interesting,
Uh huh.
and then they go to the Jets.
Yeah, they have a tough
And then
schedule.
they have Dolphins, Chiefs twice, Vikings, Chargers,
Still have
Colts,
to play the
Broncos.
Chiefs
They
twice.
still have to play the Chiefs twice and the
my
Dolphins
gosh.
in this season.
Yeah.
It's gonna be rough.
I think it's ugly. I think they're a bottom tier team. I think they win 5 games at the most. At the most.
I could see them getting 6, trying to get because they end with Colts, Broncos. I could see them getting one of
Broncos are
those.
going to be fighting for their lives for their jobs at that point.
They will be. It's gonna be a desperation Broncos team, but those kind of desperate teams sometimes make the most mistakes.
Yeah.
And so if they can flip that one, I think they're in an okay spot. But
Yeah.
you just went all in on a receiver. You got rid of your franchise QB to go bring in a new guy saying this is our year. You don't want to end up with 6-7 wins. That's not a
it's
successful season.
Awful.
McDaniels is in the hot seat.
Let's move on to the next one. It is the Falcons. Are we buying or selling the Falcons?
I'm selling now. There's too many questions
I like
about Ritter where I think he can be a good quarterback, but I don't think he's there now.
I'm selling the Falcons. I'm not a Desmond Ritter guy. I've never been a Desmond Ritter guy. They don't know how to use Kyle Pitts.
Not at all. Him in London.
Or Kyle Pitts isn't doing good. London's playing. London's balling now. London is
Only in 2 games.
3 games. He's had 3 good games. This
He's
year.
had 3 good
That's
games.
half the season.
Ritter has only thrown for over 300 yards twice.
Yeah.
The run, and that's at the cost of their run game.
Yeah.
That is not, their run game is sustained.
They can't do both.
They cannot do both.
Yeah.
They're very one-dimensional. And Ritter, in those 2 games, has also thrown 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
So you can let him cook and sustain the passing game, which a lot of people want. But on the flip side, he's going to turn the ball over immensely.
Here's the thing about the Falcons. I don't love their defense, but they're playing really, really well. AJ Terrell's a legit star cornerback that
Yes, he
everybody
is.
knows. They're getting pressure with what they need, what they have. They're not paying too much, so they're just doing what they can. Here's the thing about the Falcons. They are a Kirk Cousins being traded to their roster, a Justin Fields accidentally ending up there next year, from being a legit team that can
It's
win the NFC South
readily, yes. I completely agree. They need just a good windfall.
Yeah.
And that because you have too much talent on both sides of the ball. Both sides of the ball is filled with young guys who can go and get the job done.
I mean, Bijan looks crazy.
Bijan's great. When you have Algier as a backup and as a 1,000-yard rusher last season,
Those are just growing trees in the NFL, though. 1,000-yard rushers.
it's
You
not.
can just pluck those out of it.
But not as a backup every season.
Yeah, I mean, Cordell Patterson hasn't even touched the ball.
And that guy was explosive last
Yeah, he's
year.
been
I don't think
great.
that he's going to miss a step.
Yeah.
So you just
Selling.
need something. I'm selling.
Selling.
I'm selling small amount of shares,
Mhm.
but I am selling stuff off until they prove me otherwise.
I hear you. Let's go into the Texans. I think we're both about to agree on this one. I'm buying Texans.
I'm buying futures. I'm not buying this season. I'm
So,
buying futures.
I think the Texans have a sneaky shot to get into the playoffs this year,
I think they have a sneaky shot of winning the division.
which is a huge stock bonus.
Yes.
I'll buy the stock for this season and then sell it once we get to playoffs. I'll make an insane ROI. Did I use that correctly?
Close enough. I'll give it to you.
CJ Stroud has been playing fantastic, and as a Colts fan, I hate that I have to admit that. Damian Pierce doesn't know how to run the ball like I've been telling people.
I think it's more game script issues. He is great at, I'm going to get 4 to 5 yards of carry and just slow this game down. But that's not where Houston is in most of these games. They need to have more explosive plays. That's why we saw Singletary just take the lead role last week.
I think they've had enough weapons in Houston kind of step up with Nico, Dell, Robert Woods is doing what he can.
That's a resurgence for that man.
The tight end, Dalton Schultz is like starting to play really well.
Yes.
The defense is kind of impressive. Singletary's balling too, like he's a young corner.
The defense is 10th in the league in points allowed per game.
Well, that's what happens when you hire a defensive-minded head coach that's really, really good.
But the offense is cooking and not at the behest of a defensive coach.
Yeah.
That's the biggest jump in my mind.
Yeah.
Is Stroud's throwing for 300 yards and the defense is limiting scoring. Like, that is a great formula for success in the future.
I love it. The next team we're going to talk about is the Rams. Are we buying or selling the Rams?
This has messed with me all day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm selling, but due to schedule.
Okay.
I'm selling because
I'm selling as well. I agree with you.
I think they should have won 1 or 2 more games for me to really buy in on this could be a playoff team.
I don't think they're a playoff team.
I don't think they are, and that where they currently sit, who they have left, they have the Steelers, Browns, Ravens, 49ers, Cowboys, Saints.
They have a bit of a gauntlet. Not like a crazy gauntlet, but like
they have some of the toughest defenses in the league.
Yeah.
And when you have already guys who are getting banged up at the moment, that worries me. They do not have depth. Which
is why their players are starting to get banged up now because they have to play so much. I do believe that this Rams team is going to get more and more and more banged up, which is like a reason why I'm like, all right, let's start selling this team. I think Sean McVay knew that this was going to be a tough season.
Yes.
He's ready for the roads ahead. This is a building block season. They start getting picks back after this year. I'm selling this draft stock. I'm selling the stock. I'm going to buy it again in the offseason.
Oh, because you can buy a low in the offseason.
I'm going to buy it real
low. Great spot to be in. Because you have the young talent stepping forward.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Puka goes without saying.
Puka's a dog.
Tutu's looking great.
Tutu looks really good.
Higbee's coming along.
Higbee's 31. He's on a contract year. Higbee's done.
No, I mean, but Higbee's a reliable pass catcher. They know how to get anybody to slot into that tight end role and be reliable in a good way.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp's got a few more years where he can be a really, really good receiver.
Kupp in 2 games is 15 catches, 226 yards and a tutty.
He's amazing.
Like, he's going to have another 3 years in him.
Do you remember when people were talking about how he could miss the whole year? They were crazy. Those people were crazy. Those people were crazy. That was one of those people.
No, I know you're right. It's like, oh man. But no, I think that the Rams team is going to be fine in the future. I just don't see them in this position with already being banged up and having to face some really hard-hitting defenses. Things aren't going to get better this year.
No, I don't think so. And the last team we're going to talk about is the New York Jets. Don, are you buying or selling the New York Jets?
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, and I don't like it. I don't like it. It's like it's drinking. Oh, remember when Gatorade came out with the less flavor, not the G2, but the original version.
It was
of G2,
almost clear Gatorade.
It was just water.
Yeah.
But it was slightly you could get the hint of flavor.
It was
And that's what I'm drinking right now, and I hate it. And it's just what is this?
You just plug in your nose, and you're like, it's better than water. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. That's where I'm sitting right now. Wilson's looked good since the Chiefs game.
Don't say that. See, that's the thing about the Jets. The second we start believing is the second they start underachieving.
Yes.
We have to keep treating them like they're ugly stepchildren that you're keeping underneath the basement, and you have to let them grow into the Harry Potter that they have to be. You can't smother them with love, and that's the reference that I'm going with today.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm
buying in. The defense is keeping him alive. Brees Hall coming off the snap count is keeping him up.
You did that without Sauce.
And they did it without Sauce.
That's crazy.
And Sauce is going to come out and just strengthen this team. They have the Giants. They still have to play the Giants, Raiders, Falcons, Texans, Commanders, Patriots, Browns. They do have some of these games where they can make a run. I mean, they also have the Dolphins twice and the Bills another time, but
the thing about the AFC is anyone could beat anyone in the AFC.
That's true, but I think they beat the Falcons pretty handily. I think they beat the Giants pretty handily, and I think they beat the Patriots. Browns and Texans, if they could get one of those to fall the right way, the Commanders, if they get that to fall the right way, they're suddenly over 500 and looking at it in the hunt for playoffs.
I like it. All right, guys, let's move on to the gambling ring. We're going to give you guys our bets for this weekend. We're going to go through some games.
Yep.
Give you one bet from every single game that we're going to talk about today. We're going to start with the Jaguars versus Saints. It is Saints -1.5 against the Jaguars. Donovan,
Yes.
how are you feeling? This Thursday night football. Trevor Lawrence is a little banged up.
That's going to be the
That's
key
the
to
story,
the game.
right?
That's the story in this game is Lawrence's knee.
So he says he's optimistic about playing Thursday.
I think he will. I don't think that the Jags, considering how well Houston's doing, Tennessee is being always kind of in the hunt
They're
because
bad.
they're bad, but Henry, when it comes to winter, suddenly starts just tearing
Now he
everyone
turns into a
apart.
monster.
And so the Jags need to start winning a few games to get a cushion on the abominable snowman that is to come.
Yeah.
I think he plays. I'm worried about the knee health because the Saints
his
defense
season, maybe.
loves to hit people.
Yeah, they're really, really
And they
good.
are a very rough team, and Carr has looked okay in the last 2 weeks. He has cleared 352 passing yards last week.
Also Raheed Shaheed, which is crazy because I bought so much Chris Olave stock.
Who knew Shaheed was going to step forward and be the deep threat in this
You
team?
can't trust receivers that wear
No.
the number 22.
Carr, oddly enough, no interceptions in his career against the Jags.
How many times he played the Jaguars? Though, like twice.
4.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good stat. It's a
Like-
good stat. That's why we come to this guy.
It's interesting where and the Saints defense is what worries me though. Is they got exposed in the first half against Houston,
Yeah.
over 230 yards against them in one half.
Yeah.
But then held them to 59 offensive yards in the second half.
The Saints defense
If
is.
they clamp down, this Jags team's in trouble.
I'm taking the Saints -1.5. I think the Saints defense has 100% bought me in on what they can do on the field. I think their offense can just do enough. I think they're starting to come alive on offense. Last week
They're
scored,
figuring more out.
Yeah, they're 35 points, and last week they scored over 20 points again. So I think their offense is starting to get there. Alvin Kamara's getting work back in. I think this is going to be a good game, though.
This is going to be a great game.
Take the Saints.
This is going to be a great game. I think that it's going to be low scoring. I have the under 39 points. Hey, because I think that,
Ooh,
yeah,
I like that.
that feels like, because I don't think Lawrence is going to be 100%.
That's a dirty bet.
And the Saints are able, with Lattimore, are able to take away the passing work in a great way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be basically, can Etienne carry this team?
Do you believe in Etienne like that?
I think Etienne could go for a touchdown and then get stopped in the red zone, put up a field goal, 10 points. For this
Etienne's
team.
like the best running back in the first quarter of the league. Like
Yeah.
in the first quarter, I'm like, this guy is going to rush for 200 yards every single game.
And
he
then the
just,
defense adjusts.
yeah, it just slowly plateaus, and sometimes he keeps eating if he's playing the Colts. But like, Etienne's a little mystery for me.
If you want something dirty in this game, Evan Ingram's receiving yards are at 41 at the moment.
He's been getting some targets, but I think they're going to
Yeah.
start spreading it out to Zay Jones a little more.
The Saints are one of the top 15 teams giving it up to the tight end at the moment.
Well,
That is
there
the
you go, boys.
best way to
Started
pass
Evan
it.
Ingram's.
If you see Lord starting, Evan Ingram's.
Bills versus Patriots.
This is going to be rough.
Okay.
This is just going to be a gross game.
We're both on, because last week I made a declaration. I'm not betting on the Patriots anymore. They have to prove it to me for me to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Agreed.
Their Tom Brady goodwill has completely run out for me.
At this point, yeah, when you already have rumors of where Belichick's going to coach next season,
Yeah.
like, it's not a good spot.
Here's what I'm betting. I'm taking the over 41.5.
Okay.
The reason I'm doing that is because the Bills had a very awful game last week. And there's no one I like to
Scoreless through 3.
there's no one I like to bet on more than Josh Allen on a down week. Because the next week, he always likes to kick these poverty franchises straight in the teeth. And I'm so excited for it.
poverty
The Patriots are a poverty franchise. And now we're just talking about it. It's time for Bill Belichick to go. The storybook has ended. He should have left a few years ago. I understand he's trying to beat Don Shula's win record, but at this point, it's just sad. It's like watching Grandpa trying to exercise with the weightlifting, and you're like, Grandpa, you're gonna blow your back out, and that's what's happening to Bill Belichick right now. I feel so bad for him.
I think that they keep trying to soft rebuild this team, and they need a hard rebuild. And they're trying to get it soft because Belichick's near the end of his coaching career.
He's like 37 million years old.
And it's time for Belichick. He needs to be on a winning team now if he's going to go out on top.
Yeah.
and this is not the team to do it. They need a hard rebuild on this team.
Yeah, put him on the Chargers like every other analyst has been linking him to.
And then I think Mac Jones over 1 interception, probably 2 against this Bills defense.
Is that
That's
better
ball
than
hawk. I also think that he throws over 195.5 yards.
Mac Jones?
Mac Jones. Because they're going to have to just throw the ball. They're going to be playing from behind the entire game.
Mac Jones is so bad.
He's so bad, but he's going to just... Short of him getting pulled for Bailey Zappi,
Which happens.
which does happen, but I don't see why it would happen in this game.
Yeah.
They're just gonna have to throw. It's just Mac is gonna have to throw a lot, and that means interceptions. That means yards.
I think there's 3 banger games this week. We're about to touch one of them.
Okay.
Lions versus Ravens.
Ooh.
As a Ravens fan, are
Yes.
you nervous?
Oh, I am.
Okay.
I'm feeling more confident after the London game.
Wow, no one's ever said that.
Well, it's I know, that's a weird.
No one's
statement.
ever said that.
But with 6 field goals to Tucker, if it wasn't a London game, I feel at least 2 of those would turn into touchdowns.
Yeah,
Like there's just always these low-scoring, weird red zone offenses for London.
yeah.
I think that 2 of those touchdowns, that's suddenly a very dominant game. We controlled the ball very well.
Mhm.
We're able to just have a stranglehold on defense. And
That defense, I mean, I've been talking about it all year. I love the Ravens defense. They play football at the best level of like what you want the defense to do.
Mhm.
They're so good, and when the Ravens can't produce offensively, I can always look at the Ravens defense and be like, all right, guys, time to shine, and they've been doing really well.
yeah, the whole team in the
Yeah.
game no matter what. I think that these 2 teams are going in opposite directions health-wise. And that's the differential here.
You're starting to buy in.
Well, I am starting to buy into
You're
the
starting to
Ravens.
buy
Well,
in. aren't
Humphrey's
you?
back. Pierce is back. Like we have guys coming back fully healthy on the Ravens.
Mhm.
Versus the Lions, you have Jameer Gibbs with a hamstring injuries, back-to-back no practices.
Yeah, they're
David Montgomery, who's going to be out for a while.
so Jameer Gibbs is probably going to play.
Yes.
It's just how much is Jameer Gibbs going to play?
Yeah, it's like, what is he going to be able to hold on to his leg?
Yeah,
You also have Zonovan Knight, the
yeah.
3rd string running back on IR.
Shout out to the boy.
So the only fully healthy running back.
Craig
the Lions-
Reynolds.
That's who it is. That's it for the Lions. So it's
Gotta
going to be all on Jared Goff's arm.
And I mean, Jameson Williams back.
Which I have so much hope for that kid. Because he's only been targeted a couple times, but every single pass he's
firecracker.
caught, he's open by 10 yards.
Yeah, he's a firecracker. It's going to be Jared Goff's deep ball, which is something that people really can't rely on. Another thing is like Amon Ra is back. He is healthy.
He's
He
fully
is
healthy
smashing
now.
people. Aiden Hutchinson, who we both took last week as our Defensive Player of the Year
Yes.
awards. Side note, our MVP odds immediately just died. You picked Brock Purdy. I took Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Both worst games they've ever had.
I feel like we're bad luck for them in a little bit.
It's almost like we busted it for them.
No.
I'm going to go with the Lions +3. I love the Ravens. I like what they do. They're a fantastic organization. But at some point, we just have to jump on the Lions bandwagon and just be like, let's be happy for these guys. I hope they never lose a game for the rest of the year.
Really?
Now that I've said that,
Oh my gosh.
if you're a smart man, you take the Ravens.
I don't like you going. I don't like this because you could, in theory, you can claim, "Oh, I jinxed whatever team loses." In this
Correct.
game now."
That's the point.
No, you're playing the middleman. I like Goff over 250 or 240 passing yards at the moment. This offense is going to be completely one-dimensional. If Gibbs like hamstrung here, it's going to just fall on if the Ravens bite on any play action, which I don't know if we will, considering it's Craig Reynolds for the most part.
Do you think
But it's
that?
going to be on Goff's arm.
Do you think Vegas is trying to trap us with this line? Lions +3.5 or +3?
No, because the Ravens play down their competition. That's just historically
But
what they.
The Lions are the better team. Like, the Lions are the better team. You think it's just injuries is why they got this line?
I think this line, yeah, is just based on
Yeah.
injuries, but I think if both teams are healthy, this line is 2, and it's in the favor of the Ravens because of the home team.
Let's move on to the next game. It's the Steelers versus Rams. I want to make this one real quick.
Sure.
I don't want to watch this game. I'm going to watch this game because I watch every game. This game
This is going to be a slog.
does not move the needle for me. Steelers off a bye week. Matt Canada is someone I really want to believe in.
Are you feeling okay?
Look, the reason I'm saying
You said something vaguely positive about Matt Canada.
I
What's going on?
want the Steelers to improve. Why do I want the Steelers to improve? The NFL is a better place when the Steelers are in the playoffs. That's a fact. That's a fact.
Okay.
Not for you because you're a Ravens fan.
Yeah,
that
no,
usually
I'm a
means-
little biased there.
But like, Mike Tomlin is such a great head coach, and I'm starting to hate the slander that the Steeler fans are like, oh, we're so complacent with what Mike Tomlin does. If Matt Canada can pull his head out of his butt, then we're good. I just need this offense to average more than 1 touchdown a game. That's all I'm asking
It's
for.
so rough.
I'm taking the Steelers +3. It's ugly. It's going to be so ugly.
I don't know how this line is higher than the Jacksonville Saints line. This
That's
is at 42.5 right now. I'm taking the under. Steelers have a way of just handicapping scoring.
Yeah.
Because they can't do it themselves, so they just don't allow anyone to score here. LA doesn't turn over the ball much, and Pittsburgh is winless this season if they don't get 3 turnovers.
That is a crazy stat.
Yeah,
They need 3 turnovers to win games.
to win every game they've won this season, they've at least had 3 turnovers.
All right, so let's take a step back. If they get 2 turnovers, that over is still going to be hard to hit, right?
I think it is, because 2 turnovers at midfield does not guarantee points for the Steelers.
That's interesting. That's an interesting little
And-
combo parlay bet that we could do, like a Steelers win or Steelers +3 and the under.
That's not out of the
1-2.
realm. Versus the Rams, top 12 in defensive scoring. It's like just not
Yeah.
allowing to score, and then top 12 in scoring themselves.
Under feels good on this one. I
This
like
one feels like a
It
good
smells
under.
bad. Chiefs versus Chargers, one of the better games of the weekend.
It's gonna be such a good shootout if these
All right.
offensive could get going.
Can we take the over together and just run to the sunset?
I'm taking the Chargers +5.5, but I'm happy with the over as well.
I'm taking the over at 48.5. I'm just like, I've seen this game so many times where I'm like, it's going to happen. It's time. I want my fireworks show. That's why I'm watching the Chargers play in this Astrodome. You know, I want to watch this. I want to watch Patrick Mahomes slaying 5 touchdowns or due for it. I need one.
No, and I could see that happening. Mahomes is 12-14 against the spread when he comes off an extended rest. So, like, if he has a Thursday, plays again on, well, you get the extra couple days of rest if he plays Sunday or Monday. 12-14 against the spread in his career. The last 2 matchups of these teams decided by 3 points. I think 5.5 is too much for the Chargers.
5.5 is a lot.
That's a lot. in
Maybe
that
that's
case.
Vegas saying they don't respect the Chargers.
I think they don't, especially after the last week. The Chargers charged themselves against the Cowboys.
That was a wild moment. There was a point where me and you looked at each other on Monday night and we were like, all right, whose curse is going to be stronger? Is it the Cowboys losing it in prime time, or is it the Chargers chargering it?
And
I think we settled on Justin Herbert throws a pick, but then whoever catches the pick fumbles it. Keenan Allen picks it up and scores a touchdown.
that is what we
We were close. We were
that
50% there.
That felt like the most obvious answer.
Yeah,
And
no.
it just wasn't, but it was close.
We picked B other, or D other.
The other.
Next game is the Dolphins versus Eagles. Eagles are -2. Sunday Night Football.
This is going to be a great game. I can't wait. I cannot wait for this game.
Don, as the captain of the Raheem Mostert fan club,
Yes.
how are you feeling right now? How do you feel like just big brain? For anyone that doesn't know, Donovan's just insane. He went 0 RB in every league.
Yes.
And just cleaned up. Took every running back that's hitting that you're like, why didn't I draft him? He drafted him.
I felt so... Well, okay, no, not in our normal league, in our home league.
Yeah.
I did get McCaffrey first overall.
Oh, yeah.
And then didn't pick another running back until the 8th round.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it was like Mostert.
And I got Mostert, and I got the 1-2 punch there.
It's
And I've been trying to sell him. No one believed me. I've been trying to sell him for 5.5 weeks, and everyone
sounds
told
like
me
you don't
no.
believe him. Don, Dolphins, Eagles.
I think that Eagles limit the run, and that's going to be a big issue for Mostert. They have an incredible D line. They stop other teams from running, but their secondary is suspect. Their secondary
Secondary's
allows
banged
a
up
lot.
too.
Their secondary is very banged up at the moment, and that's where this team's going to get exploited. Tyreek and Waddle are finally just this. Like both of the Waddle being fully healthy just showed how much this offense could elevate last week. We're going to see a little bit of an interesting look, I think, with Jeff Wilson and Ahmed taking a little bit more of a
I
role
think
for
they're going to take a
Mostert.
little role. Yeah, a little
But
step.
Mostert is still the pass catching back in this
Correct,
group.
yeah.
So I think that they're not going to run Mostert between the tackles as much, but more in the swing. They've had him in the slot. It's going to be just a
gonna be
lot
good.
of dynamic.
What's your bet?
My bet personally is I think Tua over 300 passing yards. It's right now 282. I will bet this to 300.
I really wanted to take the Eagles to win this game. I love betting on good teams that just come off losses.
Yes.
Because I think that they want to prove some stuff. The Eagles are about to go through a crazy gauntlet. The Dolphins kind of have a tough schedule too.
Yeah, they both have some harder teams coming up in the next few weeks.
That defensive line, I think, is going to give Tua so many fits this week. I have
agree.
written down Dolphins. I have Dolphins +2, and I'm 100% ready to do that. And I should do it.
That's what logic dictates.
I'm going Eagles -2
Okay.
because
Do that with your heart.
I just keep seeing this image of Tua getting swallowed in a pocket. And I'm not saying it's going to be a bad game. I think it's going to be a very, very fun Sunday night football game that we are kind of due for.
It's going to be like a 20-yard completion and then a sack. And
Yeah.
then a 30-yard completion and then a sack.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of those just
Also,
stop and go.
Tyreek Hill's a little banged up, so it's like
The man's able to do a standing backflip still.
Yeah.
You tell me what banged up means.
Yeah, I guess.
He's superhuman. Hurts coming off a 3-interception game does worry me.
Yeah.
He has not he finally.
This is the worst game.
It was his worst game. He looked in sync finally with Brown, going for over 125 yards.
Yeah.
But just the consistency of his passing effort this season has been hit or miss.
Shane Steichen, man, I'm telling you, he was a real weapon on that offense.
Yeah.
Like he was doing great.
Yeah.
Last game we're going to cover is the 49ers versus Eagles. This is Monday night.
49ers Vikings.
Oh, my bad. 49ers
Just talking about
Vikings.
that.
I'm sorry. 49ers Vikings. 49ers coming off a huge loss because their kicker doesn't know what direction to point his foot in. Also,
I can't blame him. The weather was just terrible in that game.
tough. It was tough.
It was over 25-mile-an-hour winds.
Brock Purdy
Rough
looking
spot.
rough, like real rough. I'm still don't know what I'm going to do here. I want to take the Vikings, but I'm going to just take the under at 44. I think it's a gross game. Taking the under, and I'm going to roll with it.
With McCaffrey's looking to be playing in this game, Debo's still banged up and very much
You think
questionable.
McCaffrey's playing?
Oh, yeah. He was trying to come in after the quad injury. The coaching staff had to go get him and sit him down. He's been in practice. He looks like the quad is now going to be a major issue for him.
I think you're just saying that because you own Chris McCaffrey.
No, that's practice reports.
Okay. All right.
Like,
We'll
he's
see. I mean,
looking
if Chris
fine.
McCaffrey plays, then that offense is elite again.
No, I do not. I think that McCaffrey plays at least a quarter, at least one full quarter.
That's
this game.
not playing.
That might be enough for this team.
Gosh.
But Kirk Cousins, top 5 most hit quarterback, taking 2 sacks a game. I could see Bosa and the 49ers clearing 3 sacks in this game. The prop won't come out until Friday night, Saturday, so we don't know the exact odds. Another one
Keep your eyes out for it.
So keep your eyes. Another one I'm not mad at. I'm basing this off the Jacksonville odds, which have already come out. But San Francisco for the first sack of the night is looking to be between -120 to -140.
Mhm.
I think that's good money there because
There's a lot of money there.
yeah, I think there's a lot
A lot
of
of
value
good money
there.
there.
I think that Kirk is going to get sacked before Purdy.
I like it. Let's move on to our next segment. It is time for the bust of the week. We're going to give you something that happened that we feel like was just an absolute bust. Don, go with your first one.
My first one, I'm taking the Miami Marlins owner,
No idea.
Bruce
what you're talking
Sherman.
about. Okay, bust. Give me your bust.
Bust. He let go of Kim No, which was the GM for the Marlins since
Yep.
2020. Was handpicked by Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
You had Jeter leave in 2021, right after their playoff run,
Mhm.
because he was having issues with the ownership about spending money, about personnel, about how they were going to go about their business. Team didn't listen to him. Kim stays around. Goes for another playoff run this year. 2 times in 4 years, they make the playoffs under her as a GM.
Mhm.
They go and get the NL.
It was a woman?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Valid firing.
Didn't fire her.
Ah.
She left.
Oh.
She left on her own fruition because it came out that Sherman was going to try to hire this offseason, try to hire a president of baseball operations to supersede her decision. I am 100% on her leaving. This was a dumb move by Sherman. You had a 15-game improvement from last season that make another wild card
yeah.
for the third time in their organizational history. She made the trade to bring Arezas in, who won the NL batting title,
Yeah.
and she made the trade deadline work for for Josh Bell and Jake Buchner to go and make a playoff push.
Yeah.
It was all on her.
Counterpoint. She's a woman in sports.
I hate you.
That's
so ridiculous.
I really hope she gets another job. But do you think,
There's no way she doesn't. She is the most overqualified, now non-front office head that we have in the league.
I hope she gets a job immediately. I hope she comes to a team around us that can elevate them soon. Maybe a little Los Angeles Angels. God knows that they need
a strong hand.
some help.
And I don't know how this man has screwed up getting Jeter and in a 4-year span, 2 of the best baseball heads out there, and just have fumbled the bag where they left because they didn't want anything to do with them anymore.
That's tough. My bust of the week is celebrity boxing as a whole. This weekend we had another Logan Paul, KSI. You know, these guys are fighting, and I watched it because I'm a sicko. And I'm watching this game. I'm watching these fights, and the entire time I'm watching, I'm like, what are we doing? Boxing used to be such an amazing thing, and yes, it was before my lifetime. But
you still get it with Canelo.
Yeah,
you still get it with certain fighters.
You have to really seek it out, and I know boxing purists are like, they hate that take. They know that there's great boxing out there.
There is.
I understand that.
There is a lot, but it's not in the major headlines.
It's not in front of us. That's how you get it. When your biggest box office draw are these guys who don't know how to box. They don't. I was watching it. I'm not saying I'm a better boxer, but I was watching it the whole time. I was like, this is a bastardization of what the amazing sport that what it used to be.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, they're guys. If they fought a real boxer, they don't win. And it's just simple as that. There's a reason it's celebrity boxing fighting other celebrities.
Yeah.
Or fighting former fighters from different sports.
And I'm fine with celebrity fighting. In fact, if you wanted to get real beefs, like stuff that like people know about, like if other fighters were like willing to come out, guys that weren't fighters, guys just had straight up beef. Like if Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre wanted to duke it out, I'd watch that fight. If people
go have it settle things, don't have it where these celebrities are like, oh, I can just make a bag and get punched a couple times with the gloves. That's fine.
I hate it, and I used to be in for it because I was like, all right, boxing is a dying sport. This is me putting the stake in the sport. Boxing is dead. Now it can only come back to life.
And I hope it does. I really hope it does.
I'm going to give you my gold star of the week. Don, I'm going to take you on a journey.
All right.
There's a young man in jail right now. And he has been putting out pics on video every single week. During his calls, he's been putting out pics, and they have been money. I mean, absolute money. His name's Rashid the Gambler. He's in prison, and this is a little story I'm about to tell you. This weekend, he put a parlay, $500 parlay on the Rams, Jets, Raiders, Bills, Lions, and Liberty Football to win. They all did, making $13,000. Now, the story around the internet is he needed $10,000 to make bail. He has $13,000. You can do the math. He might be officially out of jail. Shout out to Rashid, the legit hottest gambler on the planet. I'm going to send you a gold star. Hopefully they'll pass a good check.
Let's see if it gets through.
Yeah.
Mine, feel good story in a different way. Calais Campbell finally got his 100th sack.
That's so cool.
Like, it's good for the man. He's the 46th guy to do it in the NFL history. I believe it was 24th out of all defensive tackles.
Do you think he's a HOFer? Hall of Famer?
No, I know HOF. For everyone else. I think he should. He needs to be in the conversation just for the amount of work he's done off the field. He's a Walter Payton Man of the Year, but has done so much more. If they allow 3-4 years in a row, he needs to get it.
The thing is,
he's just and he's a dominant force on the field as well.
He's amazing.
He's an incredible guy.
I could have sworn he's been like 35 for like 6 years.
It feels like it because he hasn't lost a step in any major way, and I have not heard a negative thing come out about any team he's played for.
Yeah, I love Calais Campbell. It's gonna be hard for him to get into the Hall of Fame because they hate D linemen sometimes. Where like,
unless you
Robert Mathis had 124 sacks, Dwight Freeney has 117. They won't let them in. Like
unless you're a J.J. Watt kind of face of the league, they don't really look at you in a serious way.
Calais Campbell's not that at all.
No, but I think that if he starts doing the charity work, like they promote the charity work he does, but the NFL needs to show it. Like whenever they do, like here's what we do off the field.
Yeah,
he can run that for them and get in that way. I think, and he'd be a great executive of any kind of program outside the league because he has done it all.
I like it. Let's move into our next segment. It is time for Rank 'em. We're going to give you guys a rating between 1 and 5. Okay. Give you a little list of how we feel about something. Today, we're going to give you a ranking on best live sporting events. So we're going to go through the major sports, and then we're
Yes.
going to give you a few miscellaneous. Don has 2. I got 1. We're going to rank them on a scale from 1 to 5. We'll start with one that me and you both love.
All right.
Let's go with hockey.
And I think arguably the best live sport to watch.
I think it's the best live sport.
It very
It's
much
one
is.
on my list.
Just the intensity of the games. You're
Best.
sitting right up against the walls, like against the boards. There,
You
It's
feel a
just-
part of the environment, and it's a
You do.
sport
You
that you
very
can
much
take
do.
someone who's never been to, and they're just immediately like, "Oh, it's simple. Puck in goal. These guys fight. It's on ice. Let's go."
Yes.
You don't have to worry about icing. You don't have to worry about offside. That can be explained
That can be explained during the game.
Yeah.
It's not a very technical, rule-heavy game.
for sure. It's
In a lot of ways,
so
like-
much fun.
It is just a great environment. I wish that I could attend more hockey games.
On a scale from 1 to 5, how would you rate it?
Oh, it's a 5.
It's a 5 out
Because
of 5.
even
I think
just
it's
watching
the best creme de la creme.
best live game to be at, and I think it's still one of the stronger ones to watch on TV.
And it's mad affordable.
That's the best
Mad
part.
affordable.
Compared to NFL prices, compared to NBA in the LA area,
Mm.
it's incredible.
So
in
let's
those games.
move into the NBA. Let's talk about basketball. Where would you rank basketball games? And I'm not just talking about pro. I would say collegiate basketball games as well. You can throw it into the overall experience. On a scale from 1 to 5, what would you give it?
I give it like a 3.5, siding on a 4 if we're doing whole numbers there.
I'm going 3.
They're fun to watch. It's difficult
I'm gonna go
where it's right in that
Yeah,
range,
it's the strongest 3.5 of this whole group.
because if you're in a game that means something,
Mhm.
it's a great experience. The fans are lively, the arena's lit up. It is an incredible game. But you could go on a Tuesday where your star player is resting and half the game
Yeah.
or half the stadium's empty, and you're looking around like, can I sneak up to the closer seat so I can actually enjoy this in a way?
Yeah,
Because you
it's
just don't
tough.
feel anything sometimes.
Especially if there's like load management games where you like go to a game and you're like, oh, I thought we were gonna see.
Kawhi and Paul George are out.
Well, I'm not a Clippers fan. He just outed himself right there.
No, those are just the
Uh-huh,
number one team
yeah.
to rest everybody.
I didn't say it. Look, if I go to an NBA game and I'm there to watch Steph Curry play LeBron and I find out both of them are out, I'm going to throw a riot and ask for a refund. And that, sadly, I don't think those guys play, but situations like that happen more often in the NBA.
Yeah.
And I'm just not into it. College vibe, very fun.
College vibe's great. I think they hold it up. I think basketball's a great ceiling, but
Yeah.
a very low floor.
The thing about the college vibe is you can't be as rowdy as the student section.
No.
And we're not in the student section at a UCLA game because we didn't go to UCLA or USC. So, like, we're just in the stands, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
And you can't be as rowdy. Let's talk about fighting events. UFC, boxing, slap contests, all those.
I give it like a 2.5, 3.
Wow!
And it's mainly because you can't, like, okay, for the average person who attends one of these events,
Yeah.
you can't see the technical side of what's going on oftentimes in fights.
So
Slapping's different, but like when you're talking MMA, when you're talking boxing, you're not seeing the technical movements that you get on TV.
correct.
So oftentimes you're paying money to go sit and watch the screen above the ring.
Correct.
So that puts 100% of the experience on the fan environment.
I think it's the strongest 3 of this group.
Okay.
I think the highs of seeing someone get knocked out is an immediate 5. It's an immediate, like, where everyone jumps out of their seat, everyone's screaming at the top of their lungs.
Yeah, everyone loses
That
it.
moment is awesome. There are times where you watch a boxing match, though, or like a UFC MMA fight, and you're just sitting there and you're like, what are we doing here?
If you're there in person, you don't get to see the technical work.
Yeah.
And so if it's a technical fight, which a lot of these guys are very, very good at grappling, you're not able to witness live without the screen assistance.
You want to see it.
You want
You
to
want to
see
hear
it.
Joe Rogan telling you what grapples are going on right now.
I don't even need the commentary as much.
Oh, you
I
just
just need
wanna
to be
see
able to see what's going on.
Right.
And that's where I think fights fall off in a major way in the live event.
Let's move on to baseball. Baseball. I gave it a 4. I love baseball games. I think the joy of going to a baseball game is so much fun. It's casual, yet it can be intense. The
Yes.
crowd is a home-like environment. I love going to Dodger games. I've been to Angel games. I've been to Padre games. I hate both those other 2 teams, but going to a Dodger game is so much fun. I get so much enjoyment out of it. Even like the parking situation doesn't ruin it for me. Baseball games are fantastic.
I give it a 3. Personally, I know I love baseball games. I think the pitch clock has done an amazing thing for the fan environment during the game.
That's a negative for me. I want to be at the stadium longer.
They're selling more tickets.
I know.
Because you
More
have more
people-
excitement,
ratings
more
are up.
action. But at the same time, you have people who are, if they're not really a fan
Mhm.
or a very light casual fan, the game isn't great. And I've taken, like my nephews, I've taken multiple people to these games. And unless they are here for baseball, like we like baseball, if they're just going to go, hey, let's go to a sports game this weekend. Let's see who's playing. The environment's not always geared towards that crowd as much as other sports are.
Here's my thing about going to live events, live sports events. You have to bet on them. Well, before you get to the stadium, you're betting on everything. If I'm going to a baseball game, I'm betting on pitches. I'm betting on everything, uniform colors. I'm betting on everything I can. Football games, basketball games. If I go to a T-ball game, I try to find a parent in the stands, and I'm like, well, number 6, let's see if he can get on base today. And we're playing the $5 game.
Oh my goodness.
There's nothing wrong with it.
No, there's nothing. Well, I mean, there's a little wrong with betting on T-ball, I think. But there's nothing wrong with betting on a sports game before you go. I'm just trying to think for the average person, they're not doing that.
I mean, you could
The
always...
average fan in the stadium is
I
not.
hear.
Yeah.
Let's move on to football, the real football, American football. I think we're about to give hot takes right now.
All right.
I think it's a 2.
I have it as a 2.5, 3.
Okay.
I think it's great. College is better.
College
I think
is better.
college live game is one of the best
The Rose
sporting
Bowl is
events.
fantastic. I love the Rose Bowl. It's my favorite place in the world.
It's great. The environment, you get to tailgate in a big way. Like I think that all adds to the live experience.
Mhm.
Same issue as fights. If
It's
you are in if you're
tough.
not over the middle of the field, you're watching the screen when the ball goes the other way because you can't see what's going on.
It's tough. I mean, you can see it, but it's not the same engagement as other sports. I'm not losing. I mean, I'm losing my mind because I'm betting on everything. Once again, passing yards, everything. But there's something about the college football experience that when you go to a pro football game, it's so sour. Like you're just like,
It's very
why?
lackluster.
Yeah, and I've been to too many Chargers and Rams games, and maybe that's the problem. But I've seen the Niners come to LA, and even then I was like, this just isn't the same vibe as a hockey game.
Yeah.
Even a baseball game to me.
The closest I've had is when the Chargers were playing in StubHub, when they were playing in the soccer stadium before they joined the Rams in SoFi about
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago now, and that was one of the best game environments.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we call a segue to our next one, soccer. Don,
I think it's one of the best. I have it
you
at 4. I think
communist.
this is one of the best sport. Soccer stadiums, I think, are the most crowd-friendly stadiums that have been built. You are everywhere. Every seat has a great view of what's going on the field. I think that's a big thing for if you're a big fan of the sport. They are dynamic. The crowds get rowdy, and
I think-
it is a sustained level of action.
I'm giving it a 4. I do agree with you. It's the environment of the people around you is rowdy, and that's what I want.
Yes. You want people as bought in as you are.
I want community. I want people singing songs. They do that at soccer games, not just in Europe. I talked about it earlier. LAFC has a legit fandom that will sing and shout and party for their team.
Yes.
Saying that, the game is so slow, and it can be such a drag where you're like waiting for one moment. And I understand that one moment is electric, fireworks,
Yes.
everyone's dancing. The guy slides across the field for 97 yards. It's ridiculous, but it's still soccer, and it's a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, it doesn't reach the hockey level, but I think the fan engagement helps propel it in a very, very major way.
So we got a couple more. I got racing. This counts for F1, Formula racing, dirt bike riding, like all these. events.
Okay. See, when we went over the show doc, I had this question I forgot to ask earlier. Are we counting horse racing into this?
Oh. If we're counting horse racing, yeah, that's racing.
That's part of the racing because you got auto and you have like horse.
Just change my
I've
whole
gone to dog races before.
Yeah, I've been to so many
Like,
horse races.
And I feel like
we
they
grew up on the
categorize
track.
a little bit differently.
Ready?
Yes.
It's a 5 out of 5. It's the best.
Racing.
Racing's amazing.
I gave it a 3. No. And
What are we doing?
And I'm the racing fan here. I'm the one who's done sprint cars for over a decade. I'm the one who will wake up at 4 a.m. to watch an F1 race. I love it.
This was a 2 before you brought up horse racing.
And that's why.
Horse racing
and that
is
is
the
why.
most fun thing. There's nothing I would rather do on a Saturday afternoon than go out to Santa Anita track, take $200, and sit there and just gamble on other guys' horses for 3 hours.
It's great.
It's amazing.
And then we've gone with our family friend who had a horse that was racing.
Principal Bob.
Principal Bob. And that the owner's box when your horse is doing well is electric. It is a fun environment.
It's 5 out of 5.
I think auto sports are a great time.
You are
I'm a big fan, but I also acknowledge that it's unless you buy in a big way, it is very dull for some people. And I think that weighs the pros and cons of short track and like dirt bike, speedway bike versus your MotoGPs, your large like Talladega Speedway. I think those are more for hardcore fans to go.
But
I think short track almost anyone can buy in because it's sustained action going by you at all times.
you take a fan of a sports fan that's going to, let's just say, Daytona 500.
Yes.
You put them in the middle.
Oh, it's incredible.
It's
It's
a
amazing
party.
experience.
You never want the lap stand. It's my whole Dodger baseball experience wrapped up in one. It's a tailgate. It's a party while the sport's going on.
Around you.
There's nothing better than that vibe.
No, it's incredible.
It's a 5.
I went a few years ago with
And
my
I
family.
don't like that sport.
We got into because of Alex Bowman. He hooked it up. I've known him since we were kids. He hooked it up with some infield with his dad, and my dad and I had the best time. I went with my dad because I was like the one guy who got me into sports. He was my crew chief when I was growing up, and so I was like, you have to be the one to go see the race with me. Amazing vibe, but at the same time, I could see where if you're not a big NASCAR fan and you're sitting in the General's grandstands, just the length, the 3.5 hours, I could see how that could drag on some people.
Yeah.
And so I'm reasonable with the 2. I get it. So I think it's a perfect dividing sport.
Let's run through our miscellaneous real fast.
All right.
I want to start with mine. It's esports.
Okay.
I kind of threw you for a snag with this one. I think esports can be a 4. I
agree. I completely agree.
My brother has gone to many events, COD, League of Legends, stuff like that, and he goes for 3 days at a time, 2-day events, and he is dripping in sweat, having a blast. I've seen the video of the Street Fighter competitions where they
Those
win
are
by
so
1
much
point.
fun.
It's so much fun. It's an electric live sporting event. The only problem is it's just not. There's a barrier of entry where not everyone can sometimes watch it. I can't go to a League of Legends match and watch it because I don't know what the heck is happening in front of my eyes.
But I feel like that's any sport.
No, it's way harder for
esports is a little more technical because
Yeah.
you assume that the people there have played it.
for sure.
Because that's one of those things that you need to play to kind of understand some of the game. Esports is incredible though, absolutely amazing environment if you can go.
What's miscellaneous for you?
Mine is I added surfing. I've gone to the U.S. Open quite a few times
I
here
think
in
that's a
SoCal.
regional thing because we are SoCal.
It is a little
guys,
more
yeah.
regional, but it is global, but only certain regions in the globe can sustain it.
What do
If
you
you
give it
go
out
to
of
a
5?
surf, I give it a 4. I think it's a great environment. Well, you get the added bonus of being on a sunny day at the beach typically, which it's hard to beat that.
Yeah.
But you have just fun athleticism that you don't always get to see. You have multiple guys going at once, typically training across the beach. It's a fun environment to not really the rowdy crowd, but to just sit and enjoy and it's so close to you
Be
at all
deep in it,
times.
yeah.
You can really delve in.
Yeah, any more?
My other one was tennis.
That's got to be a 1. It's got to be a
Really?
1. It's got to be a 1.
Is it because of the silence?
That's the worst part of it. That you can. That's why I also didn't include golf because I don't even. It's not even like a real thing. Like attending a golf match is like.
They're
You
fun,
might as well
but
not be there.
you're there not to really delve into the game. Like, oh, I want to follow. It's an all-day event. You're there more for just to enjoy the course and enjoy what's going on
Same
around
thing
you.
with tennis though. You're not allowed to say nothing. You have to be up there, sip on your juice box, and just watch these guys make grunting noises to each other for 45 minutes. And I'm not into it. I'm just not gonna do it.
I think if tennis got rid of some of the formality, it'd be a 5.
That's what needs to happen.
And I think it does. It's still stuck in the old ways a little bit.
I want courtside tennis seats. Courtside.
I don't know if they're going to ever do that just because some of those serves are coming in over 100 miles
That's
an
how you
hour.
buy me. Put a glass wall like a hockey ring.
That'd be incredible.
Yeah.
And then you're just watching racquetball.
That's what I want to watch.
Okay, we'll
All
go to a racquetball tournament.
Let's go through our pick six very quickly since this is a longer episode. I was 3-6 last week. Don, you were also 3-6 last week. 3 wins, 6 losses.
Yeah.
So 50%, 50%. Don, let's run through them very quickly. I'm going to go with the Raiders versus Browns under 38. I think both those teams have backup quarterbacks. I'm just going to bet on the unders. Love it, watch it, and just enjoy for defense.
I'm not mad at that. For me, I'm taking the Rams -3.5 against the Steelers.
You were talking about that?
Yeah, I was talking about it earlier. I just don't think the Steelers have enough offensive firepower at the moment to score more than 7 points unless they go and get a bunch of turnovers. And I don't see the Rams doing that.
I'm taking the Washington Commanders -2 against the Giants. I think the Giants might be the worst team in the league. And I know I did say sell the Washington Commanders, but I also did say they're going to surprise us with a couple more wins. This is one of them.
Yeah, they have an explosive offense that could still go win a couple games.
Yeah.
I like it. Mine, I'm taking Tampa Bay -2.5 against the Falcons.
I don't know how to feel about that one.
Atlanta has scored less than 17 points in all 3 of their losses. Ritter has
One of the best
thrown
defenses too. I like it.
Ritter has thrown 3 interceptions last week, and you just can't do this against Tampa. Tampa's defense is too strong. They're just going to have a slow, grinding slugfest.
My next game is going to be the Packers versus Broncos under at 45.5. I made it pretty clear. I don't think Jordan Love's the guy. I don't know if the Broncos are going to be having 2 receivers by the end of this week. Apparently, Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton are both on the trade block, and
I mean, it makes sense. This team needs draft picks, and
Yeah.
you have very strong receivers who are a little bit older. You could go get points for them right now, and you have Marvin Mims on the up and coming that is going to be there for a few years to replace.
and this Broncos offense is just not meshing well.
No,
I'm
not at all.
just going to bet the under and walk away. Don?
For me, I'm taking the over on the Dolphins-Eagles, 52.5. This is the highest over of the week, but I could see it. The over's 2-0 when they play in Philly. Dolphins are 4-2 on the over this season. Dolphins defense does not scare me, and the Philly secondary is suspect.
Okay,
This is
so
gonna
we're
be-
against each other on that one.
I think this is going to be explosive.
That's going to be a fun game Sunday night. I'm going to go to the college football slate now.
Okay.
I need to get some wins here. This is where I was making all my money in the earlier season. It's time to get back to that.
Sure.
It's time to go to my bread and butters, the guys who have made me money. Going Alabama -8.5 versus Tennessee. I think the Vols are absolute liars. They're pathetic. I think Milroe has really shown that he is the future for Alabama football program for the next year or two. Give me Alabama.
I'm doing a homer pick.
Oh,
I'm taking the Ravens at home, -2.5.
I like it.
It's going to be a gross, gritty game. I think I just rely on Tucker too much to pull through for us.
How does it feel? Because I had the best kicker in the league for a long time.
Yes.
Having the best kicker in the league is insane, huh?
You come in with so much confidence because you're like, if we could cross midfield at any point,
Mhm.
we're walking away with points.
It's
And
crazy.
you have that in the back of your mind the entire game of, well, the worst that could happen is we have Tucker go kick for 55, and
How many more
We'll be fine.
prime Tucker years do you think we got?
I think we have another 7, 8.
I think 7 is like absolute peak.
Yes.
Okay. Don, you got another one?
I'm dipping in the college, just a toe,
What?
just ditching a toe, just a little toe.
Okay.
I'm taking Houston +23 versus Texas.
Why?
So Texas has yet to cover a 20-point spread this season.
Okay. No,
And-
they have. You're right.
Yeah, they do not play well from in front. They were
Bad
4-point
spreads.
favorites against Oklahoma last week. They lost that game. Houston has, out of 4 out of 5 games this season, has scored over 28 points. I do not see, I don't see Texas putting up over 50 in this game.
I like Quinn Ewers, but I'm gonna lean with you on that one. I think I'm gonna take that bet as well.
Yeah, it's too high of a line at the moment.
I'm gonna go with Florida State versus Duke over at 48.5. This Florida State team can score.
Yep.
So can the Dukies. I love them, the Blue Devils. I know they're called the Blue Devils, but I call them the Dukies.
Goodness.
I think they got a legit quarterback, Duke. He's probably gonna be a top 10 draft pick. This is a really, really good matchup. I'm so excited for this game. Give me the over at 48.5.
My last one's going to be a little technical, so
Okay.
follow me here.
All right.
WNBA finals are going on right now.
Shout out Aces.
Aces, Chelsea Gray, and Cleo Stokes both out for Game 4
Mhm.
on Wednesday.
Gotcha.
I think they lose that game because the 2 star players out. It's just hard in the finals to lose your starting point guard in that way. To lose your starting forward. I think they lose this game.
Okay.
After they lose the game, I'm betting Aces to win the series.
I like it.
Because that's when you're going to get the best odds. Odds right now are minus 220 as the best you can find on. I've been able to find online at the moment. Game 5, you have Stokes who's looking to come back. That's when she's projected back, and you have Candace Parker projected to come back from her surgery.
So let's
So
put this out to the people.
Yes, I am buying the comeback. I am buying the resurgence back from injury to close out the last 3 games.
Lock it in. Hammer Friday night.
Yes.
Dio's birthday. All on the Aces. We got this.
I think they close out and win back-to-back chips.
I love it. My last bet is going to be USC minus 6.5 against Utah. This is a revenge game. Utah beat them twice last year. This is a huge game for USC off a huge loss. Caleb Williams wants to show the world.
Arguably his worst game of his career last week.
So there's a lot of people talking about how Caleb Williams maybe not be that good because this is the best defense he ever played and it's the closest to an NFL defense. All those people need to shut up. We're talking about a guy who deserves NFL stake and ownership in a team once he makes it to the league.
That is a crazy contract ask. We're going to have to do a small mini segment, hopefully, about that.
We'll talk about
I
it
want to
too.
hear about it.
Once more details, because apparently Caleb Williams wants ownership in whatever team he gets drafted to. So that's crazy. Let's move on to Pray for the Parlay, the last segment of the show. We give you a parlay. It missed last week by 1 game.
That's back-to-back weeks missing by 1 leg.
Look.
It happens. It happens.
And this is our riskiest one yet.
I think
Not
so.
in terms of odds, but in terms of teams.
Yeah, in terms of our confidence,
Yeah.
I think we're going out on a little ledge, but I like it.
Bills money line.
Without a doubt. I think
Feels
that's
good.
I think it's a great game.
49ers money line against Vikings. We feel that one.
We're
It's a little
feeling
risky, but we like it.
49ers coming off a loss. We bet on good teams after losses.
Seahawks money line against the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are awful. I think it's fantastic.
I think it gets a little close at halftime, but Seahawks have great offensive firepower. They're not going to be at risk.
And Packers money line. That's where the risk comes in.
This is the nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Because if Love plays consistent, you're going to end the game going, why was this even a risk? It just felt confident. But what kind of Green Bay are we going to get? We know the Broncos. We know what the Broncos are going to give us.
The Broncos are going to give me just disappointment and heat. But if the Broncos win this game, I'll personally DM Russell Wilson and be like, hey, man, it's time to hang it up. The thing is, all right, so I'm undefeated in betting on Raider games.
Okay.
It's the only team that I apparently have a gauge on. I haven't won one Bronco bet. Not one. They're quite literally the opposite for me. So I need to hit this.
You don't know what you're going to, you know
I
they're
don't-
going to be bad, but
Yeah.
you don't know how bad.
It's pretty bad. Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of Bust Picks. If you guys want to go check out our TikTok, Instagram, we posted out some clips. Get engaged. Go in the comments. And remember,
Pray for the parlay.